Hi, my name is Alida Esmail and I am a Pilates instructor and I teach at Concordia University. Today we're going to be doing a 60-minute Pilates class on the mat. We're going to keep things flowing, so if ever you need to take a breath or take a drink of water, please do so. You can even pause the video and take care of your body, listen to your body. Nothing should feel painful. I'm going to propose some different modifications and progressions with some exercises, so feel free to adjust as need be. Today we'll be using a block if you have one. If you don't, you can always roll up a towel, use a thick book, or not use a block at all. So let's get started. We're going to start by lying on our back, a typical neutral Pilates position. So we have our heels in line with our sit bones, feet are flat on the floor, parallel to each other. Knees pointing right up to the ceiling, pelvis is in neutral. So you can go ahead and take a few tilts forwards and backwards in the pelvis, letting all those tiny muscles in the hips and the lower back loosen out. And then coming to that flat surface on the top of the pelvis, front of the hips, parallel to the mat. We have a natural curve in the lower back. Maybe there's even a space between the mat and your body. You can just relax the arms alongside the body. Let the back of the rib cage really sink down to the mat. With every inhale, expanding the back ribs. And exhale, release. Continuing to flow through that breath. Let the shoulders relax down to the mat, finding a neutral curve in the neck, and just feeling the weight of the head down onto the mat. Really see if you can release all the tension in the body, forget about the rest of your day. No tension in the toes and the legs, in the shoulders or the neck. Continuing to expand the rib cage, not only out towards the back, but also towards the sides and even up towards the ceiling. So really ballooning up the rib cage in all directions. Really fill up the lungs. And exhale, belly button slightly in towards the spine, giving a nice engagement in your core. Keeping that transverse abdominis, that corset-like muscle around the abs, nice and tense. Exhale, release the shoulders. On your next inhale, float the arms up towards the ceiling and up above the head. Exhale, back the way you came, onto the mat. Again, inhale, just the arms, keep the pelvis and ribcage stable. Exhale, release. One more time, lower tips of the shoulder blades glide towards the hips as we inhale. Exhale, bring the arms back. This time, place the fingertips behind the head. Coming up to our first ab curl, lower the shoulder blades, elbows are wide. Tilt the chin in towards the chest, peel the upper body away from the mat. Exhale, back down. Again, chin to the chest, inhale, peel it up. Exhale, release it down. As we flow through this motion, keep the breath moving, keep releasing in the legs. We're looking for a nice long curve in the spine. Pelvis stays neutral. So reaching out through the crown of the head as we peel up, keeping that length as we lower down. Two more times. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Exhale down. We come back up. This time we're going to stay up. Keep sliding those shoulder blades down the back. Open the elbows. Use the fingertips to support the head. Long back of the neck. Belly in towards the spine. We bring our right leg up to a single hip fold. Knee right over the hip. Bring it back down. Switch to the other side. And down. Right leg up. This time we switch the legs at the same time, tapping the toes to the mat and switch. And switch. Here we can have the toes pointed. Tap. Tap. Keep expanding the back of the rib cage towards the mat. Really open up the back ribs. Keep the pelvis in neutral. Inhale. Exhale. For 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to stay up, both legs up to a double hip fold. Keep opening those elbows. Slide the shoulder blades down. Flex the feet and point. Flex and point. Nice engagement in the transverse abdominis. Belly in towards the spine. Flat surface on the top of the hips. Flex and point. Roll out the ankles in one direction. Maybe a little bit higher with that upper body. Long back of the neck. Other direction in the ankles. Really opening up all those muscles. Warming up. And release it down to the mat. Knees squeeze in towards the chest. Releasing the shoulders. Maybe rocking from side to side to give a little massage to the lower back. Bringing the knees back up to a double hip fold, pointing the toes. Fingertips behind the head, we roll back up into our ab curl. This time we're going to squeeze the legs together. Actually, let's flex the feet here. We're going to press the base of the feet towards the wall in front of you, sliding the lower legs forward, but keeping them parallel to the mat. Bring the knees back on top of the hips. So we're only moving maybe 2 to 3 inches forward and bring it back, warming up those lower abs. Keep the belly in, neutral spine. Back in. Keep that going. Exhale. Inhale back. Squeeze the legs together as we continue, activating those inner thighs that are connected with that deep ab muscle structure. Few more times, maybe a little higher in the upper body, or you can even release the upper body down if it's too much. For 2. And 1. Release everything down, knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Nice big breath. And release. Hold on to the backs of the hamstrings. Take a little rock forwards and backwards a few times to meet at the top of the mat in a seated position. Feet are going to stay flat onto the mat, heels in line with the sit bones. If you have a block towel or book, place it between your knees. Squeeze it between the knees. So really activating those inner thighs. We're going to start tall up on our sit bones. We're going for a half roll back. Starting with our arms forward. Really open the chest, bring the shoulders back and down. Starting with a low tilt in the pelvis, scoop it low. Pubic bone reaches up towards the ceiling. Bring the shoulders with you. We're rolling back. 1 vertebra at a time. We stop halfway. Keep the belly in. Reaching the fingertips up. Keep that long curve in the spine. All the way back to the sit bones. Reach it tall. We'll bring our arms up towards the ceiling. Again, arms come forward. Scoop low in the pelvis. Keep squeezing the block. Shoulders come with you wide across the chest. And reach it back up. Keep squeezing those knees. Long curve until the end. We rebuild vertical, hands up. Again, exhale, scoop it low. Inhale, stay here. Exhale, reach it back up. Inhale, lengthen. Few more times. Bring the arms forward, exhale, scoop it down. Shoulders come with you, belly in. Stay here, inhale. Exhale, reach it back up nice and slow. Really articulate each vertebra. Inhale, lengthen tall. On this next one, we're going to scoop it back. This time we're going to stay in that half roll back position. Scoop a little further with the pubic bone, reaching up towards the ceiling. Here, everything from the hips down stays center, stay strong. Just the rib cage rotating to the right and left. Keep squeezing the knees, they don't move. Exhale, exhale. Scoop it low in the pelvis, out, out. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back to center with control. Reach it up and release over the knees. Take a little breath. Rebuild it back to vertical. Place the block aside. And we're going to come onto our forearms. So our elbows are right under the shoulders. Here we want to make sure we're not sinking down in our chest or in our shoulders. Use the full forearm, the palms of the hands and knuckles to really press into the mat. Open the chest. Not too much so that we're popping up towards the ceiling. Finding a nice neutral position. Just that can be a nice challenge. Nice and anchored in those forearms. We're going to squeeze the legs together. Keep the feet on the floor to start. Everything above the waist, so the shoulders, rib cage staying center and square. We're going to keep the knees squeezing together, no sliding, and roll over onto one hip. So the opposite hip and foot is going to lift away from the mat. Again, if you're starting to lose that connection between the knees, you've gone too far. Engage those obliques, bring everything back to center, and roll it to the other side. Again, squeezing those knees together, rolling over onto one hip, keep pressing the forearms, supported in the shoulders. Belly into the spine, rebuild everything back to center, one step at a time. And over to the other side. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. You can either continue with the feet on the mat or taking it one step further, bringing the legs to a double hip fold, lower legs parallel to the mat, still squeezing the legs together. Same idea. No sliding in the knees. We roll over onto one hip. Keep that other hip coming up and bring it back to center. If that's feeling good, you also have the option to go with straight legs. That's a lot harder. Keep squeezing the legs together. Rolling to one side. Oh, getting stuck in my plant. And back to center. Last side. Bring it back. Come back up to seated. Roll over the shoulders, over the knees, and take a breath. So that one was really to warm up that nice rotation in the rib cage. Here we're going to lengthen our legs, flex the feet. Arms come forward. We're going for our full roll back. Just one to get back down onto the mat. So shimmy yourself forward to give yourself room. Again, it's going to start with that scoop in the pelvis. Really flex the feet, strong in the feet. One vertebra at a time. Bring the shoulders with you. Right down through center. Reach the fingertips up above the head. Point the toes, nice big stretch. Keep the lower ribs connected down. And release. Legs are going to stay long. Hands can come on the tops of the hips. So you can always lift the hips a little bit, drop them back down, finding that neutral position. Shoulder blades, shoulders anchor down towards the mat, nice and relaxed. Hands on the hips, making sure they stay neutral. Point the toes. So the toes are like lasers reaching forward. The right leg keeps lengthening and lifts up towards the ceiling again. Use those hands to make sure that the pelvis is not tilting. Leg comes back down, switch it to the other side. Inhale. Exhale. Working those hip flexors into the thighs. Keep the lower ribs down towards the mat. Belly in. Inhale. Exhale. Let's switch to flexed feet. Inhale. Really reach out through the heel. Exhale down. In. And out. You can continue like this, or taking it one step further, fingertips behind the head, peeling up to an ab curl, continue with the legs. So just adding a little bit more work for the abdominals. Chin is in towards the chest. This time we're going to keep the left leg up in the air and bring the right leg just to a little hover. Hold it there for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the left leg down. Bring the right leg up. Point the toes. Belly in. Bring that left leg to hover. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release it down. Bend the knees in towards the chest. Good. We're going to come back up to that ab curl. Squeezing the legs together, we're in a double hip fold. Shoulder blades down, belly in. Nice flat surface on the front of the hips. Lengthen both legs. Keep squeezing them together. We're in a long V. And bring the knees back in. The lower you go towards the mat with the legs, the harder it is. Exhale as you lengthen. Inhale back. Exhale. Inhale. We're going to add the arms, reaching up towards the ceiling, making a nice big V in the body. Bring them back to the head. Again, exhale. Inhale. For 3. Maybe a little higher in that upper body for 2. Belly in, feel it working. Last one. And release it down, knees in towards the chest. Again, maybe rocking from side to side if that feels nice. I'm going to place the feet back onto the mat. Again, if you have a block or something in the place of a block, grab it. And we're going to place it between the knees. So here, heels, again, in line with those sit bones, the bony parts in the bum. Maybe heels are a little bit closer to the body, the rest of the body, so that you can graze behind the heels with your fingertips. Arms are going to anchor down towards the mat. We start in a neutral pelvis. Squeeze the knees, press into the feet and the backs of the shoulders. We scoop in the pelvis like we've done before. Keep rolling up the pelvis to come into a neutral bridge. So the Pilates bridge, we aim for a nice diagonal from the shoulders through the hips to the knees. Keep squeezing that block. Really press into the floor. Shoulder blades maybe a little closer towards one another. No pressure into the neck, so it really stops at the shoulders. Here we're going to find a little pulse with the hips up. So really squeezing the glutes a little more, back of the legs, the hamstrings. Keep pressing into the feet. Pulse, 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 pulse. As you keep pulsing, you can also bring your fingertips up towards the ceiling. Long lower back, pulse, 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 pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. With control, roll everything down. One vertebra at a time. Release the block and windshield wiper the knees from side to side. Release out those inner thighs, maybe even the lower back. This time we're going to leave the block to the side. You can either do that same variation or we're going to take it one step further. For the one step further, we leave the block to the side, bring back that position in the legs, parallel, and anchor down in the feet and the shoulder blades. We roll back up into that neutral bridge position. So here, really important that the knees stay in line with the hips. At no time do we want them to splay outwards. So really use those inner thighs, connect it with the core, and staying aligned. We're going to continue to press into that left foot. So really strong into the mat with that left foot. And bring the right leg to a single hip fold. Now here, keep both hips high. So we want to avoid sinking on one side. Bring that right leg back down, in line with the hip, and other leg lifts. Keep pressing into the floor, back down. Again, switch to that right leg, single hip fold, thigh bone moving in the hip socket, over to the left side. You can either stick with this or, again, we take it to another variation. We lengthen the leg up towards the ceiling, lower it down to a hover, keep the hips high, bring the leg back up, and bend it down. Left leg, lengthen to the ceiling, keep pressing into the mat with the right foot, lower the left, up, and down. Almost there. Up, lower, reach, and down, up, lower, reach, and down. Let's do one more each side. Last one. Keep those hips high, long lower back. Do not release in your center. Last one. Reach, down to a hover, up, and down. With control, one vertebra at a time, we come back to the mat. And windshield wiper the knees from side to side. Take a nice release in the breath. All right, hold on to the backs of the legs. Take another little roll forwards and backwards. Coming back to a seated position. This time we're going to stay holding onto the backs of the shoulders. Chest is wide, shoulders are down. Here we're going to scoop a little bit back. So we're about in between the sacrum and the sit bones. We're not leaning on either. We're kind of in that fleshy part right between. Pointing the toes. So we're going to bring both legs parallel to the mat. Find a nice balance, tap the toes back down. Again, lift and lower. Now here, if you're really holding on strong to your legs, see if you can challenge yourself giving just a little tap to the hamstrings. Tap the toes and up. Keep that belly button pulling in towards the spine for 3, 2, and 1. Keep the legs up. Squeeze them together. Flex the feet. Here, just the arms. Reach up above the head. Keep that balance. Bring them forward. Inhale, above the head. Keep scooping in the pelvis. Woo. Exhale back. Squeeze the legs. Inhale. Exhale. Keep scooping in the pelvis. Inhale. And exhale. Come to a seated position. Release that out. All right, we're going to swing around and come onto all fours. So hands and knees, palms of the hands are right under the shoulders. So you can hear me here. And knees are right under the hips. Let's take a little cat and cow, curling the tailbone and the top of the head under the body, reaching the middle back up towards the ceiling. And then lengthen out both ends of the spine and bring them up towards the ceiling. Finding a nice long curve. Keep that belly engaged. Inhale, cat. Exhale, cow. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Let's find a neutral position. So finding all those natural curves in the spine that we had while we were lying on our back. You want to try and find them here without crashing in the lower back or over rounding in the upper back. So see if you can find that position. Tailbone, sit bones reaching towards that back wall. Here we're going to take the right arm, reach it out towards the right side of the room. This time we're going to feed the fingertips under the body and twist the rib cage over to the left. Belly in towards the spine, rebuild it back to center, and again open the arm. So as we twist, keep pressing into that left hand so that we don't sink in the shoulder. Hips stay right over the knees. And we can follow the hand with our eyes. You should really feel this in the obliques, those side abs, working to keep us stable, isolating that rotation of the rib cage. Bring it back to center. Hand comes back to the mat. Set it up on the other side. Really press into the mat with that right hand. Micro bend in the elbow. Left arm comes parallel to the floor, out to the side. And feed the fingertips under. Rotating the rib cage. Keeping the hips centered. Bring it back. Use those abs. And reach the arm out. Again, exhale as we twist. Inhale back. So as we flow through this exercise, connect to the breath. Every exercise in Pilates has a breath component. Exhale. And inhale. And release it back down. Take a little shallow stretch. Hips come to the heels. All right, we come back up to all fours. Here we're going to take it to our opposite arm leg reach. So set up that neutral position, knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders. Micro bend in the elbows. We want to protect those joints and really tap into the arm muscles for the work here. Neutral pelvis. Right arm, left leg are going to slide forward and back on the mat. Staying parallel, both hip bones shooting down towards the mat. And slide it back in. And switch to the other side. Left arm, right leg. Bring it back. As I said before, everything moves with the breath. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, back. Keep pressing into the mat. Really lengthen out of the limbs. Open the space in the hip socket, in the shoulder, and back. You can either stick with that or we take it one step further, slide it on the mat to start, and then lifting parallel to the floor, back down, and slide it back in. Other side, lengthen, lift, no higher than parallel to the floor, back down, and in. Inhale, all the way up, reaching far, exhale, back and in. Again, inhale, exhale. Keep that transverse engaged, belly in. The eyes are down towards the mat, just a little in front of the hands. So keeping the crown of the head reaching forward, long back of the neck. One more time each side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Come to a seated position. Just roll out the shoulders. Roll out the wrists. Hopefully you're feeling nice and warm. We're going to come back onto all fours, and this time we're going to step it down onto our forearms. Eyes stay between the forearms like we did on our back. We're really going to press the forearms to open up the shoulders, open the shoulder blades. Curling the toes under. We press into the mat and lift the knees to a little hover. So it's really not far. That's what makes it harder. And back down. Nice, small, subtle movement, activating in the center, strong in the shoulders. Shoulder blades sliding down the back and away from each other. Keep it breathing. Inhale. Exhale. In. And out. Either continue like this, or we come up to that hover, lengthen one leg, lengthen the other, bring it back in, and in. Again, lengthen, lengthen, in. The goal here is to not lift the hips. So we want to stay nice and low to the mat. Lengthen, lengthen, in. Belly in the whole time. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. In and out. Uncurl the toes. Shift your hips back. Get a nice shell stretch. Starting from the tailbone, roll yourself up. Last thing is the head. And we're we're going to come to a tall kneeling position. If ever this is uncomfortable for the knees, you can add some more padding, grab a towel, fold your mat to get a little bit more support. Here, or you can do it, this first exercise you can do sitting low on your heels. Here, so we're going to bring the fingertips behind the head as if we were in an ab curl position. We're going to keep the back of the neck nice and supported. We're going to lift the sternum up towards the ceiling. Getting a nice opening in the chest, small back bend for the spine. And build it back to vertical. So here, keep that belly in. We want to avoid crashing in the lower back. Really open the lower back. Coming up and over. Build it back to center. Hips stay over the knees. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Keep those shoulder blades down. Last one. Exhale, back to vertical. Release the arms. Roll it out. Face you. All right, here, fingertips forward. Shoulder blades back and down. Here we're going to do an imaginary bow and arrow. So grab on with one arm, one hand. Pull that elbow back with resistance. So it's really hard. Pulling back, elbow reaches to the back wall, hips stay forward. Keep moving with that arm. I'm going to hit my plant again. And then fingertips reach up towards the ceiling and forward. The whole time that other hand stays forward. Let's go the other side. Pull the elbow back with resistance. Pull, pull, pull. Eyes can follow. Hip bones stay forward. Keep lengthening that arm out to the back. And exhale up and over. Again, first side. Inhale, little faster. Exhale, up and over. Last side. Inhale. Exhale, up and over. Good. Release the arms. Roll out the shoulders. All right, we're going to come down onto the sideline position. So set this up. We're coming into a long line in the body. Toes are pointed. Toes are in line with the hips that are in line with the shoulders and the crown of the head. So eyes stay forward, really lengthening the neck and letting the crown of the head reach towards the wall in that direction. Light tap of the fingertips on the mat or the hand on the hip or the hand up towards the ceiling. A little bit harder. Always keeping that support in the belly away from the mat. Top leg is going to reach and lift towards the ceiling while keeping the waist long. So we want to avoid hiking that hip towards the face to get the height in the leg. Really reach it out, opening the space in the hip socket, front of the hips and the side waist, and bring it back down. So it will block at some point. That is normal. We only have so much mobility out to the side like this, keeping the legs parallel. Again, inhale, reach it up. Exhale, down. You should really feel the side of the hip, maybe into the glute a little bit. Keep that belly in and up. Again, you can play with where the hand goes. Inhale. Exhale. Flex the feet. We go again. Up. And down. Up. Shoulders are stacked. Hips are stacked. Feel that hip. Inhale. Exhale. On this next one, we're going to stay up with the leg. Point the toes. Find a little circle in one direction. So keep the height of the leg. Really work that side body. Belly in and up. You can even use your hand. Really lift that waist away from the mat. Other direction in the leg. Still reaching out through the leg. Nice and long. Find that length. You want to be a little bit taller by the end of this class. And release it down. Good. This time we're going to squeeze the legs together, point the toes. If ever this is too painful for the side of the hip, place a blanket or some extra padding for you there. Squeeze the legs together, activating those inner thighs. Both legs lift, both legs lower. Keep that long line in the body. We want to avoid the legs coming forward or backwards. Nothing is swaying, everything is stable. Lengthening out the crown of the head and out through the toes. Point the toes. And lower. Belly stays in and up. Come back to that idea of 3D expansion in the rib cage. Inhale, open the ribs. Exhale back. Inhale. Exhale. On this next one, we're going to stay up in the legs. Separate the legs just a tiny bit. We're going to find a little fluttering motion forward and back. As if we're swimming in the side position. Belly stays lifted. Inhale. Exhale. Inner thighs should be working. Outer thighs working. Toes working. Everything. Continue for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Nice. You can take a little tap to the side of the hip. Release out that muscle a little bit. Good. This time we're going to come up onto our forearm. Forearms about in the center of the mat. Knees are bent to start. We're going to build our way up to a side plank. So here we're aiming for the knees and the hips to sort of be in line. So you can adjust once you're in the air as well. Press into the forearm. Again, watch out you're not crashing in that shoulder. Really lift the rib cage. Press into the forearm, opening in the shoulder. Hand on the hip. Anchor down into the mat with the side of the legs and the forearm. Lift the hips. Take that top hand, really bring the rib cage up to and lower down. Keep pressing into the forearm. Again, lift the rib cage, lift the hips. And lower. We're still breathing. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Good. Come to a seated position. Take a little stretch of that underside. As I said, we're going to keep it flowing today. So this time we're going to come onto the palm of our hand. If ever that's not too comfortable for you, you can go back down onto the forearm. So palm of the hand. Let's keep our knees bent to start. Same thing as before. We're anchoring down into the mat, opening up in that shoulder joint. Lift the rib cage and the hips. We stay there. From here, lengthen that top leg. Point the toes like we did in that sideline position. We lift the leg and lower. Lift and lower. Keep pressing out of the shoulder. Micro bend in the elbow. Inhale. Exhale. In and out. For 2. And 1. Keep that top leg out. Bring it forward and flex the foot. Here we're going to lengthen the lower leg. Both legs long, one in front of each other, using the side of the foot to anchor down. We're almost there. Hand comes up towards the ceiling. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Release it down. Roll out the shoulders. Maybe give a little stretch to the neck if it's feeling a little strained. If ever in that side plank position it feels too much for the neck, you can always turn your nose towards the mat and it relieves that tension a little bit. And rolling the neck from side to side. And let's set it up on our second side. So all the way down onto that sideline position. Toes are pointed to start. Belly in and up. So again, find that support in the center. Really lengthening out of both legs. Toes are like lasers, remember. Hand can be on the hip or up towards the ceiling for extra challenges. At no point do you want that top hip creeping up towards the face. Always lengthening away from the face. Open up the back of the rib cage, top leg, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale. Exhale. So remember here we want to keep the legs parallel. So both kneecaps facing forward. Never does the top leg open up. That's a different exercise. Inhale, lengthen and lift. Exhale, lengthen and lower. Again, inhale. Belly in and up. Exhale. Lower leg is still strong, even though it's not moving. Shoulders are stacked. Hips stay stacked. For 3. Eyes are forward, crown of the head in line with the rest of the spine. On this last one, keep the leg up in the air, find a tiny circle in one direction. We want to avoid any swaying or swinging in the hips, just the leg moving. Belly in and up. Find that stability. Other direction. Keep reaching long, keep those lasers shooting out of the toes. And release it down. Good. This time flexing the feet. Squeeze the legs together. Again, pressing out of the feet. Find that length. It's as if you're standing on the side wall. Opening out the hip socket. So you want to feel like the thigh bone is lengthening out of the hips. Belly in, nice and strong in that transverse. Both legs lift, both legs lower. Maybe it's not feeling the same as it did on the other side. That's quite all right. Inhale. Exhale. In and out. Keep squeezing those inner thighs together. Inner thighs working, outer thighs working. Long lower back. Opening out in the rib cage in all directions. This time, keep the legs up, point the toes. Legs come a little bit away from each other, but they both stay high. And a little swimming motion forward and back. Keep it going, still reaching out of those hip sockets. Belly in for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release it down. Good. Maybe again, take a little tap to the side of the hip. Give a little release. And what did we do? We came up on our forearm. So forearm comes to about the center of the mat, like we did on the other side. Hips press a little forward. Always pressing out of that shoulder. Bring the rib cage with you. Press into the mat, anchor down. Lift the hips away from the mat. And back down. So again, you can always adjust in the air on those first couple repetitions. Hips forward, shoulders stacked, hips stacked, and back down. Keep pressing into the forearm. Never do we crash in that shoulder. No releasing. Bring the rib cage with you. And back down. Again, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. In and out. Release it with control. Down, come up to seated. Give a little side stretch. All right, we're almost there. Let's bring the palm of our hand to the mat. Again, bending the knees. We're not here chilling out. We're nice and engaged, supported in that armpit. Anchor down to the mat. Lift the hips up. Good, so we're nice and supported. Micro bend in that elbow, protecting the joint. Top leg lengthens, pointing the toes. Lift the leg and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. So keep the hips lifted, keep the rib cage lifted, micro bend in the elbow, reaching out of the hip socket, full body engaged here. One more time. And good. This time flex the foot, bring the foot a little bit forward. Scooch up on my mat. And bottom leg lengthens, sides of the feet pressing down towards the mat. Hold it there for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. With control, bring it back. Take a little shoulder roll. And maybe a little release in the neck. Good. All right, we're going to roll onto all fours, curl the toes under, and just shift the weight back onto the feet. Release the head, letting it dangle down towards the mat. And start to bring the heels to the mat, lengthening the legs. Keep the upper body nice and released. Arms also relaxed. Micro bend in the knees, just so that we're protecting those joints. Holding on to opposite elbows, maybe swaying a little from side to side. Coming back to center, release the arms, one vertebra at a time. We roll all the way up to standing. Now, I realize you can probably not see my full body here, but that is okay because we're going to focus on the feet. So, if you have a block or whatever you were using for a block, place it between your ankles. Let's get a better view there. So your feet are parallel, and you have a block or book or towel or whatever between your ankles and your lower legs. Squeezing together. Body is nice and tall. Find that verticality, the neutral position, as if we were lying on our back, but now we're standing. Keep reaching the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, so much that it starts to lift the heels, pressing into the balls of the feet. Now see here, by squeezing that block between the ankles, we're keeping those heels hidden behind the ankles. So keep that support and bring the heels back down. Again, lifting the heels, press into the balls of the feet, nice and strong in the ankles. With control, as if you're pressing through molasses, bring the heels back down. Again, lift and lower. Lift. See if you can keep those eyes forward at the horizon. Lifting that belly in and up. Lift that weight off of the legs. One more time like this. And release. This time take the block away and legs come together. So still that idea of squeezing the legs towards one another. Inner thighs engaged, glutes engaged, everything nice and strong. We inhale the arms up above the head, lift the heels, still squeezing together. Knees are strong towards one another. We're going to keep the heels high and lower down into a little squat. So keep those knees squeezing towards one another. Hips come low, belly in. Upper body as vertical as possible. You can see that little shake happening. Again, lengthen the arms up above the head. One more time, last one, last exercise, make it count. Heels stay high. Long lower back, belly in. Maybe see if you can go a little bit lower. We're going to pulse it there for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. With control, keep the heels high, lengthen and tall, and release everything to the mat. Roll out the shoulders. I'll come down just so you can see me. And exhale. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day or rest of the night. And I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave a comment below and even subscribe to my channel for more videos later. All right, bye-bye.